Welcome to Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday, everybody. Today we're talking about a really crazy EV flagship, FTC dropping a big fine on a dealer, and a $1 billion hospitality renovation project. Billion. I don't know, is it just me, or do you feel like...
That's only 13 months long. That's it.
Yo, I can't even get like
Can you imagine spending $1 billion in 13 months?
That'd be hard. I think I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah, right. I think, like, if someone needs me to, though.
I'm willing to try. But I have one question. How do you get the contractors to show up? I'm trying to do like the smallest little project in my house, and it is impossible to find a good like I look at these companies doing this stuff.
$1 billion
reasons why a contractor would show up. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the word billion is just thrown around so much now.
Golly,
like 10 years ago, it wasn't like that. Like, what was I watching an NBA thing? And it was like 3 $5 billion NBA teams now.
Yep, exactly.
$5 billion. And so I don't know. It's just the day and age we live in. It's inflation, Kyle. Used to be millions, now it's billions. There's something wrong with my math, but we'll just call it that. Oh, today we have an awesome episode launching on ASOTU Sessions by Effective. It's one of our podcasts. You can just search ASOTU Sessions on your podcast platform. We have Andrew Diffenderfer, better known as Diff, who no matter what you're talking about, in my opinion, is one of the most like well-rounded thinkers in automotive. Like he hangs around, you know, he just thinks broadly about the industry. Yes, he's good at what he does, but he thinks broadly, and he's always a great measured conversation. So
yeah, and like always good for a little bit of nerdery and a little bit of fun.
Absolutely.
You know, absolutely man after our own heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. A little bit of nerdery, right? It's got one of those vans that you can drive anywhere and you sleep in, the Sprinter van and all that. So he's that he's kind of like a nouveau bro, you know, at heart.
Please don't ever refer to me as that. Okay, sounds good.
You're not a nouveau bro. I will never refer to you as
I know,
that.
I'm just telling you, like,
no
if
problem.
For some reason I ever got to that level, just don't refer. Like, if you do, don't let me know that you did.
If you kind of like follow his Instagram account, you'll hear what I just said and be like, yeah, that shoe fits. I don't know. I just coined it. It just came out. Speaking about segue into the first story. Speaking of things just coming out.
Stop. Segue time.
We've waited a day or two to talk about this.
That was the first time I've ever heard you pre-announce a segue. That was great. That was like a segue into a segue.
What segue to a segue? We haven't talked about this, but it was actually on Monday, a long-awaited reveal. Cadillac unveiled their new flagship EV, let's pronounce it correctly because we had to look it up, the Celestiq.
The non-fancy pronunciation.
How should
looking word?
How should it be pronounced?
Celestiq. Like you gotta get a little bit of thing in that, in my opinion.
A little bit of exotic pronunciation, because right. I mean it should be for a car that is north of $300,000 starting price. They are moving back, and that is the truth. That is the truth. Production will begin in late 2023. 600 horsepower, 640 foot-pounds of torque, 300 miles of range. In my opinion, the thing is absolutely gorgeous. I've never seen a car look like that before, but it is freaking gorgeous.
I will say, I like the Cadillac brand. For me, it's like the Escalade always looks on point, but kind of the other vehicles, like I always import kind of what I feel of like 1998 Cadillac into like the way it look and feel.
I can feel that.
Altogether departure from that environment, and I think that it is setting that brand apart, because like when that's the trajectory of the flagship vehicle, everything else probably starts to fall in line. So I think that's kind of the way that this is going to play. It's going to reestablish what flagship looks like for Cadillac, and I think it's going to be a really deep brand play that actually spreads a lot further. So
here's a couple of quotes from the launch. Celestiq is the purest expression of Cadillac, acknowledging our incredible history and driving us to a bolder and brighter future, says Cadillac Global Vice President Ron Harvey in a press release. It is a completely bespoke work of automotive art, built around the most advanced and innovative technology we've ever engineered in an automobile. This is cool. So like they can only make 6 at a time. Yep. Only 6 are going to be in production at any one time. Hand built again. The dealers that are allowed to sell it, they're going to have to obviously go through a whole process because they're promising like a very concierge design process in general. So like you can customize this vehicle if you buy one. The dealers kind of advise the buyers as they work directly with the designers who can suggest designs. They're going to really depends on the person. Do you want us to suggest things or do you want to tell us? So everyone is going to be a one-off. A standard rear wheel steering, which is pretty dope if you've ever driven a car with one of those. I mean, it's a pretty long vehicle if you saw the picture. So the rear wheel steering is definitely going to come in handy. Multi-zone auto dimming is a cool feature. So it's going to have the big glass roof. So, cool. People in the back might want it a little dimmer. People in the front.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. A 55-inch wide screen across the front dash.
That's going to be something that you start to see in a lot of vehicles all the way through, just because of like this multi-infotainment system type thing. What I love, think about, we've been talking about pop culture meeting automotive, right? And when someone in a press release, a global vice president, says words like a bespoke work of automotive art, like, that the lines are they're being blurred at this point. And I think that that's a good thing, even if you're not selling or working with $300,000 vehicles. Now the expectation is, from a global perspective, that, hey, my car purchase can be unique and customized to me. So thinking about that as any auto salesperson or dealer, like, how do I create that level of experience for the person buying the $20,000 vehicle, right? Because I think that's the game changer. When someone walks in and buys a $23,000 Mazda 3, Toyota, Yaris or whatever, and walks out going, holy cow, that felt like I was a piece of the brand building a six-figure, six at a time handmade vehicle. And if you can do that, if you can go, okay, I see that that's happening in the buying persona and what there are some people that are after, because like you think about the trend of everything going from luxury to commodity, right? I need to, I want to order food from wherever, right? At first it was pizza. Only luxury could get to order food from anywhere. Now we all have that capacity. It's now a commodity. It's now just something that anybody can do through Uber Eats or DoorDash. And so if you can move the luxury buyer, the luxury retail experience to the more commodity retail experience, you're going to win.
I think for me, the bigger impact is just the status of the brand. Cadillac used to mean so much when it came to overall status. And again, like to your point, kind of that span, depending on which one you had, right? There was a big price difference between the biggest, baddest Cadillacs and the entry-level ones.
Right.
All I could think about when I started seeing this vehicle though, are what Alex Flores is going to look like in his. I know he sees this thing. He's trying to get to be #1 on the pre-order list because the A-Flow Celestiq is going to be dope.
Going to be dope. So
trying
dope.
to get qualified to sell him just so he can buy one. I hope you're listening, Mr. Flores. Speaking of people that are now listening.
Stop. Segue. Time.
Oh boy.
So the Passport Automotive Group out of Maryland, who holds brands BMW, Infiniti, Mini, Nissan, Mazda, and Toyota, has been fined $3.38 million by the FTC in a discrimination suit involving charging illegal fees and engaging in lending discrimination, allegedly. This is from an Automotive News article. The FTC alleged Passport advertised certified, reconditioned, or inspected cars at specified prices, but added extra certifications, reconditioning, or inspection fees it falsely claimed consumers were required to pay. For example, the FTC cited one case in which a vehicle is advertised at $24,050 and sold for $26,440 because of illegal add-on fees, and also alleged they charge Black and Latino customers roughly $291 and $235 more, respectively, in interest than their white counterparts. That's pretty serious, level set from the FTC.
I'm just saying, look, I don't know what happened in the Passport group. You know, I have known people there, and I know that there are really good, upstanding people in that group. So like nothing that a group does like this, just level set is like, that's not the experience that everybody gets. That's not the experience everyone gives. Right. But what this is pointing to me is like, if this is happening right now from the FTC, and we've seen other examples of this over the last 2 years, and we're coming up on December 7th when all these new guidelines, like just they're poking around, they're watching for these experiences and these types of, you know, practices. And so like, I appreciate what, you know, the Passport representative said. We'll go through that quote in a minute, but just like heads up, it's not like the guns
That's
aren't
what this
out,
is.
right?
No. That's what this is. And I think you nailed it, right? So in a written reply, Passport to Automotive News, Passport said it doesn't tolerate behavior that violates customer trust, and that the company took swift action upon learning that some customers were charged redundant fees. An internal investigation determined violations were largely isolated to a group of 3 employees, and those employees are no longer part of the organization. They disagree with the allegations, and they said, you know, but it would have distracted us too much to try to fight this. Too much money, too much time it would distract us from the important work we do. And that time, energy, money can be better utilized to service, invest in the community. So they've agreed to just settle, but 3 people, right? 3 people in the organization. They didn't say who it is, but they did say that
that's the thing. That's all it takes. Like you
doesn't even take
the internal audit process, the internal like structure process, written processes, understanding exactly what the compliance officer and the general managers and everybody is doing from top to bottom every single day is going to, like, that's the problem here, is because, you know, and I think that this is where, when you look at these FTC guidelines that are coming down the pipe, is everybody has to be aware. You better make every single person aware in your organization that they are part of being on the hook for your organization in the way that they handle customer experience. Because when 3 people can impact a dealer's bottom line like this for practices that are outside that group's expectation, that's a dangerous kind of line to walk. So,
dude, and it seems like the fact that several people can make a decision that affects the group this much, because you think of all the people that work there, like you said, there's just lots of decent history in the Passport, a lot of good people, a lot of good work. And then this like, look, the practices are wrong. You're right. If the allegations are true, right, the practices are wrong, right? And we talk about this at length, right? No longer can you get away with the stuff that we've gotten away with in the past. The fine is actually going to be paid by a combination of the auto group, the president, Everett Helmuth, and Vice President Jay Klein collectively are going to pay this fine. I don't fully understand what that means, but this is the second run-in with the FTC for Passport. In 2018, they sent out 20,000+ fake urgent recall notices intended to drive traffic to dealer visits. Now, I think that's also another example. Here's how that could have played out. You have this big group, all these stores, all these groups. Somebody gets a call, right? A general manager, a sales manager, a marketing manager, right? Like, hey,
got a way to drive traffic.
We got this thing, right? You're going to give us 10 grand, and we have this email list, or we're going to take this and we're going to send it out. We have proof that it works, and one person makes that decision. We're like, yeah, let's try that. Right. And all of a sudden 20,000 notices go out, and you are in big flipping trouble, right? Because it's so deceptive and it's so backwards, and it's easy to get caught in this stream of tactics, right? And let me just say this. If it seems like a hustle, right? If it seems like, just get away from it.
We were on the phone with a dealer yesterday that it was like, he kind of was like,
we were.
Hey, someone called me and said, blah, 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 and they could do that. And we were just like, just kind of, we're all like sniffing the air, like,
smell hustle? You smell hustle? I smell a hustle. Yeah, I know the rules were this way, but they found a way around it. I mean? If there's a way around it, like, just, you know, I think that's actually one of the really great things going to come from, like, the FTC regulations, which are definitely, you know, as the NADA say, sloppily drafted and hasty. We totally agree with that. But what it is going to do is help us get away from some of these and actually limit the bad actors and the things that really are deceptives and the things that truly are like ripping people off, because we can together fix that practice. I think the FTC is going to force that hand in a lot of cases, but this is just a a very cogent warning to all of us to like Kyle said, everybody in your organization needs to know that like this stuff's got to stop. Like we can't even just close to playing.
Quit. This is the thing when you look at any and I know like we're going a little long on this episode, so hang with us because I got a thing to say, right?
This is important.
When you look at any vertical, any industry that has some level of history of broad culture, disrespect, or misunderstanding of the way that the internal part of the vertical actually works, right? So when you think about it, like just think of the things that people list of the things that are like the bad actors in society, right? It's not indicative of everyone, but it is a cultural perception. When that's the case, everybody in that vertical, in order to shift that cultural perception, not just has to get to center, like industries that don't have that cultural perception, they have to go to the other side.
Over-index.
You have to over-index on the way that you treat customers, on the way that you treat employees. You have to over-index. And that's where we're at as an industry. And we just have to recognize that. It's not getting back to center and just like being like other industries. We have to over-index and be the leader in the way that we care for customers and employees, or the culture will not shift the perception. It just won't happen.
We have a comment from a live viewer. Jim Elliott says, are you sure it's just 3 individuals or a low standard of conduct allowed by the group? That is a great question, because when we don't know, but what we will say is when you have a culture of elevated attention on integrity, doing the right thing, treating the customers right, it does tend to suffocate and push out the folks that they just can't have any space in the organization. So keen observation. Don't know the answer to the question, but definitely merits asking the question.
Speaking of making space.
Yeah.
Segue.
Time.
Yo, the Venetian is about to do a whole bunch of space up in Vegas. F1, if you don't know, is coming back to Vegas for the first time in a few years, headed to Las Vegas for an F1 race in November of 2023. And the Venetian has started a $1 billion renovation of their hotel, their grounds, internal stuff. They've got a new beach thing, the casino floors going on, new restaurants, the whole 9 yards. And like we said at the front of the episode, they're doing it in 13 months. Like this is not November 2025. They're not doing $1 billion renovation in 2.5 years. They're doing it in 11 months. They're also working on a current project of the Madison Square Garden Sphere, which is a 20,000 seat indoor arena that's costing $1.85 billion and will be the largest of its kind, finished next time in about the same timeline. So gosh, all the contractors converging on Venetian properties. Interestingly enough, the Venetian property actually exchanged hands February of this year. So I'm sure that new investor is looking to get a whole lot of love out of what they're doing out there in Vegas for this race and like the convergence of culture on Vegas. So
I mean, I guess when this timeline, it will be ready by the time NADA is back in Vegas, so 2024. Ooh, we'll get to go check it out in person. You know, this whole thing, right? Like, what do you do? Because the attention is there, right? It started because F1. Let's back this up. F1 it's on wild. The downward trend. Netflix series comes out featuring the stories of the humans and the drama within the sport. That really helps propel it to massive adoption in the US, massive event in Miami. It's coming to Las Vegas. MGM actually purchased $25 million of tickets, which is, I feel like, is that like most of them? Like, it's a lot of them. And they're going to be coupling the tickets with a stay and these packages that are up to $100,000 for these experiences. Just showing you, like we talked about yesterday, about even Gen Z pursuing these luxury items and luxury experiences that have the perception of like, hey, I'm out there, I'm doing things, you should be watching what I'm doing. And this is just kind of like a very forward and advanced version of this. Breaking it down.
Money goes where the attention flows. Let's go.
All right. I don't think we're going to be able to top that. We have to end the show with that one. No doubt. No doubt. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Listen, build the culture of your store. Make sure people know the customer is first. The customer is first. The customer is first.